Cuba testing sekejap, Chef.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, welcome to Za TV. I'm your host Mirdza or Foodies, whichever you like to call me. It doesn't matter, as long as you get my name right, that's all that matters. So with me today, kita ada guest, tetamu yang khas for today, Chef Fadza.
Hi everyone. Okay.
So Chef, sebelum apa-apa, tolong please tell us more about yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nur Fazarina Afiza binti Jasni.
Yeah.
Okay, apa lagi nak tahu?
Apa-apa lah macam like berapa lama dah you dah masuk dalam bidang kemasakan ni, and also macam like well, basically I'm just going to introduce the topic for today lah. So because I was a former I'm still currently a culinary student, and she just so happens to be my chef to ajar kita semua tu, and kita today would like to cover the topic about Malaysian food culture. And the reason why I asked her, because she taught me about Asian cuisine. So yeah, all the info semua tu we will share to you guys. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Chef, first things first, what is your definition of Malaysian food culture?
Definition. Okay, bila kita sebut tentang Malaysian, okay, Malaysia kan, kita kaya dengan bangsa dan juga ethnicity. When it comes to Malaysian food culture, maksudnya it combines semua ethnicity dan juga bangsa yang ada dekat Malaysia ni lah. Okay, and then setiap culture ni berbeza mengikut geographical dia. Maksudnya kita ada daripada utara sampai ke selatan. Okay, dia punya orang kata style daripada segi rasa, how they present the food berbeza. Mengikut culture di tempat itulah.
So based on that kan macam let's say orang kata Malaysia kan, and the thing I think orang rasa selalu confused ialah when orang kata Malaysian food, people always akan sebut benda macam roti canai, char kway teow, but we want to go more into deep because I nak cakap pasal perbezaannya antara when people kata Malaysian food dengan makanan Melayu. So Chef, can you explain that? Sebab bagi saya macam when people kata Malaysian food, macam contohlah roti canai. Okay. Of course it's a Malaysian food. It's memang people in Malaysia memang it's our favorite. We love to eat roti canai in any given time, pagi ke, petang ke, malam ke. But the originality of roti canai came from India. And also char kway teow pun also came from the Chinese ethnicity. So in the word Malay food, and how could you describe it?
Bila kita cakap tentang Malay food, okay, first kita kena tahu dalam kaum Melayu sendiri, kita ada banyak ethnicity. Okay, macam you Melayu?
Boyan.
From Boyan.
From
okay.
Boyan, yeah.
I'm Malay. I'm from Javanese. Daripada ethnicity Javanese. Jadi, yang membezakan makanan Melayu daripada makanan Melayu ni sendiri adalah daripada ethnicity dia. Okay. Dan ethnicity ni semua datang daripada Indonesia. Like Javanese, Minang, lagi ada Mandalay, kan? Semua datang daripada Indonesia. Jadi yang membezakan makanan-makanan kita Malay food ni lah kan, adalah daripada dia punya ethnicity. Okay, macam saya cakap tadi kan, rasa, how they present it, the way dia orang makan, how they consume it, semua pun berbeza. Okay, saya bagi satu contoh. Saya ambil dekat Malaysia sendiri. Okay, asam pedas selatan dengan asam pedas di utara dan juga pantai timur berbeza.
Oh ya ke?
Ya. Okay, kalau dekat utara, asam pedas kan macam kita kat sini, asam pedas macam mana?
Dia basically ada rasa that spiciness to it lah.
Dia warna merah kan? Warna merah. Dia ada cili kita. Tu main cili kan? Tapi asam pedas dekat utara basically asam rebus.
Oh.
Yes. Dekat pantai timur kita panggil singgang.
I see.
Yes. Okay, lepas tu asam pedas ni pula Johor lain, Melaka lain, Selangor lain. Itu uniknya makanan Melayu ni sebenarnya dekat negara kita sendiri. Tapi bila nak cakap tentang keaslian ataupun authenticity dia, sebenarnya makanan Melayu ni banyak datang daripada Indonesia. Okay, we are so proud about our rendang kan. Malaysia, dekat Indonesia pun ada rendang juga. Okay, and then rendang dia pun dia ada rendang apa? Rendang daripada Minang. Kan?
Betul.
So sebenarnya lah kan, makanan-makanan dekat alam Melayu ni sebenarnya, alam Melayu dia ada connection.
Or in other words, we call it like Nusantara juga.
Betul, serumpun Nusantara.
Tapi so there's always a heated debate lah, especially dekat dalam social media.
Yes,
kan.
betul.
Everyone nak kata macam rendang daripada Indonesia lagi sedap, atau dekat Malaysia punya lagi mantap semua tu kan. Tapi in all fairness, for people yang daripada luar negara, could they tell the difference tak between the two? Let's say lah kalau orang ni datang daripada negara macam Amerika ke apa, and dia orang rasa duduk terus semua lain sebab saya tak pernah cuba lagi yang makanan rendang daripada Indonesia lagi. Tekstur dia different ke atau rasa dia?
In taste wise, ingredients sama. Dia using lemongrass and ada apa lagi, ada bawang, semua tu sama. Cumanya macam mana itulah ini adalah masalah yang terjadi dekat makanan Melayu especially makanan Melayu okay, topik kita mestilah tentang Malaysian food kan. But bagi saya Chinese and Indian food, diorang tak ada masalah daripada segi dia punya identity. Sebab kita tahu diorang punya nenek moyang pun memang datang daripada sana. Kita macam kita ni, dia yang menjadi masalah dia dekat sini, macam mana kita nak classifykan benda tu adalah Melayu Malaysia punya. Melayu Malaysia punya. Okay. Bila orang cakap nasi biryani Melayu punya, no, nasi biryani is not Malay punya makanan.
I agree, yes.
Kan? Arab. Arab, Indian. Betul tak?
Betul, yeah.
Jadi, the big question is, kat manakah keaslian makanan Melayu? You boleh come out tak?
Because right now, the way you explain it tadi tu, is very complex for us to trace back makanan yang boleh kata like asli-asli dah.
Yes, betul.
Sebab macam mana pun dari dulu lagi, even dekat Nusantara kita ada banyak influence daripada orang Arab dengan all the traders yang datang dekat the roads kan. Tapi bagi chef lah kan, makanan apa yang modern sekarang ni yang chef boleh kata yang dia punya asal usul dia memang kemelayuan dia tu memang kuat lah.
Maksudnya, okay. Bagi fikir jap.
Tak take your time.
I rasa tak ada. Bila kita dah modernkan dia, sebenarnya dia dah hilang identity, identity traditional tu.
Even nasi lemak juga?
Ya.
Oh, okay.
Ya. You pernah tengok nasi lemak dengan cheese?
Macam ngeri je.
You rasa pelik kan? But ada orang jual nasi lemak and cheese. Bagi I itu adalah satu penghinaan terhadap makanan Malaysia. Okay? Tak boleh ke like diorang ni biarkan makanan Malaysia ni
as it is kan?
Yeah, as it is. Biarkan dia punya authenticity. Then bila orang datang Malaysia kan, orang nak cari apakah makanan Malaysia yang yang famous, yang orang kata traditional lah. Tak ada.
Tapi speaking of that kan chef, that you mention pasal cheese tu, for someone from my family, memang duduk belah daripada Terengganu, and I think it boils me sometimes lah untuk tengok yang ramai orang suka order keropok lekor dengan cheese. Sebab bagi saya memang combination dia rasa sedap, tapi dia macam like chef kata, dia macam lari daripada asal usul dia tau. Tapi with that being said kan, mana dia datang yang tiba-tiba semua makanan-makanan kita yang dia nak tambahkan cheese. Itu saya rasa one of the hot topic yang people keep on asking lah. Asal-asal buka kedai je buka cheese, cari cheese. Betul? Kali tu. Ni mana dia punya fenomena ni sebenarnya?
Ini yang kita panggil globalization. Food globalization. Okay. First, globalization ni something yang move forward, yang berubah. Okay, dia daripada sosioekonomi, daripada kita punya budaya, politik. Okay. Jadi, bila terjadinya globalization dalam food ni, okay, maksudnya sesuatu makanan tu telah diubah, okay, dan dia dah masuk ke unsur-unsur luar lah. Maksudnya dah hilang lah kan dia punya identiti dia, identiti asal dia dekat makanan tu. Kan. Salah satu orang kata apa, dia punya bukan faktor lah. Penyebab dia lah ni lah media. Kan tengok Korea sekarang kan. You pernah jumpa curry puff letak kimchi?
Saya tak boleh bayangkan
Tak
dia
boleh
rasa tu
bayangkan,
macam
Ada
pelik.
kari pap letak kimchi inti kimchi. So kat situ itulah dia kita panggil globalization. And this is masalah ni sebenarnya dah lama dah berlaku. Okay, inilah kita punya authorities tengah cuba sekarang ni nak mewartakan sesuatu makanan tu dia adalah makanan Malaysia ataupun makanan Melayu. Okay, macam like recently kawan one of my friend my classmate master lah, dia ada join satu symposium. Okay, mewartakan apa ni makanan Jawa tu, nasi ambang. Nasi ambang. Okay, so nasi ambang, kalau you tahu etnik Jawa dia ada dekat Perak, dekat Johor paling ramai,
Selangor
dekat
pun kan?
Selangor pun. Okay, jadi macam mana dia nak membezakan nasi ambang Johor dengan nasi ambang Selangor? Itu yang masalah kat situ. Macam mana? Sebab kalau you tengok sama je nasi ambang tu ni.
From a distance semua dua-dua nampak macam seiras juga lah.
Kan, itu diorang panggil jadi dekat kampung tu lah, dekat ada satu kampung dekat I think Kuala Selangor kot. So dia panggil orang-orang lama, makcik-makcik yang selalu prepare nasi ambang ni. Dia berbincang lah. Okay, masak sambal goreng Jawa tu macam mana? Ada yang cakap letak cili sikit, ada yang letak santan, ada yang letak kicap. Jadi dia nak kena decide. Okay, untuk kita nak wartakan Selangor punya nasi ambang ni, kita nak pilih yang mana? Sebenarnya susah
Complicated jugalah.
Ya,
Dia
betul.
macam a big discussion amongst tu. Sebab bagi saya, dari pengalaman saya lah, saya pernah macam masak depan orang juga. Yang what I know is especially the old ladies semua tu kan, they know their craft. Sampai
Betul.
when they start to make semua tu, dia lain waktu dapat macam let's say like okay, this is not between apa genders lah, but based on what my experience is, older ladies kalau dia masak, rasa dia tu kan, dia lain tau. Dia
Betul.
macam authentic. Dia macam masa tu ada satu makcik tu, kita tengah buat bubur lambuk lah dekat Seri Kembangan.
Okay.
Lepas tu I remember saya dengan mak saya, kita tengah masak 3 pot besar untuk buat bubur lambuk. And me and my mum, kita orang biasa dah buat benda sama tu. But dia ada satu makcik ni, dia datang, dia baiki semua benda. And it tastes so much better tau. But then kalau kiranya me and my mother yang had those like sort of culinary background more than she has tau. But it's just a bit of a touch semua tu, dia boleh ubah the whole thing to become so much better. And for them to, I think they of all people kat Malaysia, dia orang ada hak untuk buat that discussion and nak finalize kan. Tapi nak finalize ke susah sebab banyak pihak, dia orang kan ada yang setuju.
Betul. Yes, betul. Benda it's not an easy thing tau. Semua orang macam, orang nampak macam benda tu adalah makanan. So what? Makanan. Tapi you kena belajar the metaphysics of it. Orang kata apa? Di sebalik makanan tu, tahu apa dia punya uniqueness dia.
Semua ada kisah.
Betul. Setiap makanan dia ada dia punya simbol. Okay, macam tadi ada apa pulut kuning kan?
Betul lah.
Okay, you rasa kenapa selalunya kalau kita berkatan ke, macam ada majlis-majlis kesyukuran ke kan, dia bagi pulut kuning?
Kalau saya nak bagi a good guess lah, which kalau sesiapa yang tengok ni, forgive me if I'm wrong, tapi tu macam ada kaitan dengan kerajaan-kerajaan apa, like keraja, you know, like the kingdom of like Malay community. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that.
Okay. Pulut kuning tu warna dia kuning. Maksud dia apa?
Emas.
No. Dia membawa a bright colour to your life. Lambang kesyukuran. Same goes to kenapa rumah orang kahwin bagi telur.
Same reason lah.
Reason dia adalah lain. Kita saya cakap tadi, setiap makanan tu dia ada simbol dia. Dia ada simbol dia. Telur melambangkan subur, you know, fertility. Orang kahwin kan? Jadi bila dia bagi gas dia punya apa? Goodie bag yang ada telur kan?
Yes.
Kan? So gas ni akan mendoakan dia kan, semoga semoga berkekalan ke anak cucu. Benda-benda macam tu. That's why sebenarnya makanan saya tak cakap only makanan ni makanan Melayu saja. Indian and Chinese food pun diorang ada simbol dia juga. Makanan-makanan dia. So very unique kan. Makanan, food is unique,
No,
right?
I mean if you go in depth, macam bagi saya lah, untuk cakap dengan orang yang saya tak nak kata tu, tapi dia macam like, tak ada pengalaman dari segi dalam dunia bermasak ni kan. They will never understand the art behind it. I think once you dah start to cook, when you start to macam do the process from start to ending, and you understand the beauty of it, the patience that you have to have. Macam it's basically like you're raising a son. Sebagai contoh lah kan, as a metaphor. So when I got into culinary school, I think before that my view of food is just sedap tak sedap.
Okay.
But when we get there tu pun the hard process, and the beauty of it all is what to say tengah belajar makanan, let's say like contoh dekat makanan Melayu, you realize that there are certain things, dia punya identity dia is when you start the process, macam masak biar minyak pecah semua tu kan.
Yeah.
And that is one part of it yang macam kita boleh kata oh that's Malay. Even letak santan pun is more of either, I think kalau nak kata to be fair, Southeast Asian punya thing kan. And then you start to trace back the roots of where you come from.
Betul. That's why even method of cooking in Malay pun different actually daripada Western punya ni tau.
Sangat.
Kan?
For those of you guys who yang tengah tengok ni, let's say like you want to impress someone pasal masakan you, I would suggest you masak masakan Melayu, because it is so much more difficult than cooking Western. And
Betul.
Chef, could you vouch for me for that?
Betul. 100% agree. Sebab apa?
Pening kepala.
Betul. Sebab dia banyak bahan, banyak preparation dia. Kan? You nak tumis, contohlah you masak sambal kan, you nak tumis sampai betul-betul sambal tu garing, pecah minyak lah kita panggil kan. Pecah minyak, kalau tak, you akan makan sambal yang rasa dia cili mentah. Betul. It takes time. That's why diorang bukan dia tak suka masak, dia tak suka the process. Proses tu memakan masa yang lama kan. Jadi itulah kenapa dia kita Melayu panggil renyah. Macam susah kan. Banyak benda nak kena prepare. Lepas tu cara potong, ada jenis masak ni potong bawang lain. Masak ni cara potong bawang dia lain. You kena tahulah benda-benda tu semua. Kalau you masak depan nenek you main bantai
memang kena sound lah.
Kau tunggu. Kau ni belajar ke tak belajar? Kau sekolah ke tak? Kan?
No, but that's the thing. I think macam like one thing I love about when we cook kan, I remember my grandmother ni, dia daripada so basically my family mostly daripada Terengganu lah. And then my grandma ni dia daripada, I think dia duduk kat Keramat dulu, but she was from a Bawian punya background kan. And I remember spending time with her lah growing up kan. She always introduced me to macam, let's say dia kan biasanya orang akan modernize kan makanan tu jadi macam westernize kan dia punya makanan kan. But my grandma did something that I rasa macam like wow, okay. So what she did was spaghetti.
Okay.
Buat spaghetti goreng. It was something that macam like, I don't think it's unique, tapi at the same time tu pun dia macam like tak sedap, kena buat macam mi goreng. So cara style dia gaul semua tu sebiji macam sana kita buat mi goreng punya tu. So
maksudnya dia punya rencah dia punya bumbu kita panggil bumbu kan. In Malay kita panggil bumbu.
Bumbu.
Tahu bumbu?
Yes.
Apa dia bumbu?
Explain to me again what bumbu.
So basically bumbu ni adalah macam seasoning.
Seasoning. Okay.
Seasoning macam contoh kita nak masak nasi goreng. Kita kena ada apa? Bawang. Ada cili. Kalau nak sedap sikit letak belacan dan so apa?
Cili hijau, cili padi.
Kan? Anchovies. Apa aku lupa.
Saya baru kata MSG lagi teruk.
Kan. Okay, itu kita blender ataupun kita tumbuk, itu kita panggil bumbu. So that's why in class saya cakap bumbu dah siap belum? Bumbu. No one actually respond to me sebab dia orang tak tahu bumbu tu apa. Faham tak? So ni ada terms in Malay cooking yang you kena tahu. Okay, untuk kekalkan kita panggil to preserve. To preserve kita punya heritage ni, kita kena tahu dulu background. Kita kena belajar dulu. Bila kita dah belajar, baru kita boleh kita kekalkan, then only kita boleh pass the knowledge to the next generation. Okay, cerita tentang passing knowledge ni. Okay, this is the problem dekat
the younger side.
Yes. Masalah yang berlaku tentang macam mana nak preserve heritage ni. Okay, start dia adalah from our parents lah. Okay, bila parents kita dia dia tak orang kata apa, dia tak master benda tu ataupun dia tak tahu macam mana dia nak pass kat kita. Yang kedua is sikap younger generation. Sikap orang muda sekarang yang dia rasa benda ni tak penting. Dia tak tahu what happen in the future. Okay, saya bagi contoh satu lah, kuih Melayu. Ramai dah tak tahu kuih
It's a
Melayu.
dying art jugalah.
Yes, correct. Okay, I'm doing a research in kuih Melayu right now. Okay. So based on my reading, kuih Melayu ni memang dah tak ramai younger generation boleh prepare. Sebab apa? Pertama sekali, diorang rely on kuih-kuih yang ada dekat luar tu lah. Beli je senang. Okay. Yang kedua, dia tak dapat a proper knowledge transfer daripada nenek ataupun parents dia. Okay. So, cara dia senang.
It's very simple kat lah.
Cara dia senang sebenarnya. Kita, kalau betul kita nak belajar, kita duduk dengan orang tua kita. Okay, kita tengok. Observe. Okay. Based on my reading from Sharif et al. 2015. Okay. So, Sharif ni cakap, younger generation, okay, cara kita nak pass kita punya culinary ni lah, culinary knowledge ni dekat diorang kena observe. Bila dah observe, dia kena practice. Okay, dua benda ni lah penting. Dah observe, kenalah practice. Kalau you observe saja, you tak buat, memang you tak tahu.
Yeah, true.
Betul. I tanya, you belajar buat kuih daripada mana?
My mom dengan my grandmother.
Kan? So first you tengok dulu daripada orang, betul?
Yes. And then they start off dengan kuih yang paling senang, and then dia akan progress lagi susah lah.
Betul. That's the right way. Okay, tapi itulah sikap anak muda sekarang yang merasakan preserving our heritage is not important. Yang diorang kisah adalah K-pop.
Siapa yang makan cili terasa pedas. So
betul. Even my cousins pun sama. I tanya, tahu tak ni, tahu tak ni, tak tahu.
No, but then I think this is just my personal take on this. I think lately, macam for someone like me, the irony is, okay, this is for the viewers to know, my bahasa Melayu ni macam tak betul sikit lah. Sebab dulu I think growing up tu macam English was like my main language. Tapi the ironic part is, I feel like it's important for us to preserve, like I'm still proud of my heritage, but what I realise is over the years dekat media, and I think that doesn't help the case juga, sebab I think in Malaysia they had every opportunity to sort of like macam, let's say in Japan, like everybody is so proud of their macam sobas, their punya ramen and dia punya samurai punya spirit semua tu. So it ingrained them so much sampai culture, walaupun diorang lain sikit, but they still preserve it in terms of cara diorang with their life, mentality diorang, macam mana diorang respect pun dengan disiplin dia. So in our country juga, saya rasa if they could emphasize the spirit of the Malay culture, it could help people to have the need untuk nak preservekan food heritage. So but bagi saya pun, I think when I start masak kuih pun, the love for buat masakan macam ni, especially when I found out from you lah, yang not just from you but a lot of people juga, yang even when people nak order kuih, they go to some companies yang diorang jual kuih tu, and the owner is usually Baba Nyonyans rather than Malays. So that one is it's good that they are preserving, but as Malays, I think we should preserve it as well.
Betul. From my opinion, Baba Nyonya punya how they commercialize, macam mana dia promote diorang punya heritage is
unique lah.
Unique. And then kita punya Malay ni macam tertinggal kat belakang tau. Betul. And then bila orang cakap, oh kuih ni kuih contoh macam tepung pelita ke kan. Okay. Oh kuih ni kuih Melayu kan? No. That's Nyonya. Kuih lapis. Nyonya pun ada kuih lapis.
Ada.
So
onde-onde semua.
Yes. So dalam I punya research tu kan, I ada cerita tau macam mana kita ni nak, macam mana masalah ni adalah, the problem statement is how kita nak differentiate Malay kuih and
Malaysian
Nyonya punya kuih. Kan. It's very difficult, you know. You have to dig balik.
Tapi when you see the way they present it, especially from people from the Baba Nyonya community, diorang buat tu macam seni tau.
Yes.
They make it so macam like, I think there was this one chef, I forgot what was the name, tapi dia macam Dia Baba Nyonya juga. I think you're familiar with her. Dekat YouTube pun dia ada banyak buat content.
Okay.
So she basically selalu pakai baju kebaya lah.
Okay, I know
I
her.
think
I
you know
know
who
her.
she-
Okay, yes. I love how dia tunjuk macam mana dia buat kuih dengan nenek dia kan.
Yeah. And it's so macam cantik juga tau.
Yes. Kita try buat nanti.
Soon. Nanti kita akan try have our own YouTube channel juga. So
Okay.
yeah, podcast and YouTube sekali.
Promoting our
Food.
food.
And it's not just that because I think macam like it's true what my chef kata tadi. In terms of food variety daripada kaum-kaum orang India dengan China in Malaysia, they preserve it so well to the point where that thing is still ongoing sampai sekarang tau. And it stays firm and it doesn't make any altercation langsung from years tau. Macam roti canai, it's always roti canai. Okay, mungkin dengan the exception of naan. Mungkin dia tambah cheese sikit, but it's still macam mana? It's still naan tau, nonetheless.
Betul. Yes.
And Chinese food semua macam char kway teow, noodles, even sometimes laksa pun they made it so sedap juga tau. Asam laksa. So bagi saya macam like they really preserve it very well, but let's make it all until to the point where Malaysian, we are very rich with the our food semua tu, to the point where people can still separate.
Yes.
And if possible lah, and I know some people might tak suka when I say this, but like try not to push our identity so much to the western side sangat.
Betul.
Because it's still macam mana, like macam tak ada beza tau in the end.
Yes, betul. Itulah cara sebenarnya daripada segi makanan pun adalah cara macam mana kita nak segregate tau. Kita punya apa? Macam kita punya cara pemikiran kita, adakah kita ni ke arah barat ataupun kita ni nak stick to our root. Betul tak? Kan? So macam you tengok sekarang lah kan, macam makanan-makanan dekat kafe-kafe sekarang ni, they are serving nasi kerabu. But ayam percik dia buat ni buttermilk chicken.
I don't know why that sounds so wrong.
I can't accept it.
I cannot juga.
I macam this is not ayam percik. Okay, this is not ayam percik. Okay, and buttermilk is
okay, it's confusing because like, which one are we talking about though? Sebab Indian has their own buttermilk juga.
betul.
And dia lain daripada like what we used to hear.
And Chinese punya buttermilk pun lain.
Lain.
Indian punya orange in colour.
Yes, and
Kan?
ni macam like more like light peach punya colour.
Kan.
And the taste is also different juga.
Kan. So sebenarnya ini okay, I faham lah macam diorang try nak
Follow trend semua tu.
follow trend. Yes, this is the problem about Malaysian. They love, following all these trends. Betul tak?
Nothing wrong with it if you want to make profit, but at the same time tu pun it sort of tarnishes the image you got lah. Sebab dia banyak modifying it to the so-called trendy taste.
Ya, betul.
So, yeah.
Then because of trend kita punya makanan hilang dia punya
yes.
keaslian dia.
And the problem is, and apa, I apologize, but macam most out of all the races, the one yang banyak altercation is unfortunately from Melayu jugalah kan. So I guess macam like I love the idea that everyone can love to cook in this country, but I think it's best that we preserve it macam like because the taste itself pun dia unique juga tau. Dia tak ada rasa macam kalau orang makan dia tak boleh trace back macam ni sama macam dekat negara ni. Tak. Kalau dia kata Indonesia pun it's fine. Sebab tu memang secara kita juga.
Itulah kan. So macam I macam nak macam mana nak cakap, macam I am trying to find apa penyebab dia tau. Macam like this is what I'm studying right now. Apa penyebab dia? Kenapa benda ni jadi? Ya, salah satu is globalization lah, kita tak boleh nak salahkan. Okay, sebab satu dunia mengalami globalization tu. Kan? Jadi in terms of food ni, sebenarnya kita nak start daripada mana nak ubah benda ni? Kan? Betul tak?
Tapi I think like the problem also sebab the ones who are protecting the heritage semua tu can be considered as a minority juga lah. Sebab not everyone is aware of the things that's been going on. But let's say if it's like announce semua ke, kata macam everything is changes, because I think orang kalau dia jalan dekat like jalan raya, if they just mind their own business, look at the straight line, atau like when you're driving fast, you just see the road, but when you slow down, you like look at left and right, you can see what was going on, and everybody is just looking forward to. So tapi itulah, I hope there's going to be some developments in the coming years because for me, it's something to preserve, and it's something that I think the younger generation should take a look, because
Yes.
for me, I feel like if you can cook Malay food, you can cook a lot of other ingredients too. Sebenarnya.
Betul. Betul. For me, kita Malay kan, benda pertama yang kita belajar dekat rumah masak adalah Malay food. Betul tak?
Yeah.
Betul tak? Kan?
Culture.
During my days lah kan, masa saya muda-muda, saya muda. Masa dulu kan.
We're just 1 year apart, by the way. You can take a guess which one's older.
And then
Sorry.
it's okay. Okay, abang, benda pertama yang I masak adalah makanan Melayu. Makanan Melayu.
What was the first food that you pernah belajar masak?
Curry.
Oh, okay.
Because I love curry. Tapi curry is Indian. Malay kita panggil gulai. Kan? Curry Indian, gulai is Melayu lah gulai. So you pun ada even Terengganu also dia punya gulai kan?
Ada.
Kan? Gulai tongkol kan, makan dengan apa? Nasi dagang, kan? So bila kita kata curry tu India, gulai is Malay lah. So the first makanan yang I masak adalah curry, sebab memang I suka curry. I love Indian food. So curry ikan masa tu. And then masa tu lah I belajar macam mana nak pakai spices. Okay, kalau 4 sekawan guna untuk apa?
Nasi biryani.
No.
Wait.
Masalahnya macam 4 sekawan tu selalunya kita guna untuk apa? Selalu kalau kita masak ikan, kita tak pakai 4 sekawan. Kita pakai 4 sekawan ni sesuai masak daging dengan ayam. Sebab apa? Ayam dengan daging ni dia ada hamis dia kan?
Yes.
So 4 sekawan ni dia perfect lah untuk kita get rid of the smell. So kat situ sebenarnya
4 sekawan tu is more like a Malay term juga kan?
Ya, 4 sekawan. So macam because diorang ni selalu digunakan bersama lah. That's why kita panggil 4 sekawan. Kan?
Unique name juga sebenarnya.
You ingat tak 4 sekawan apa?
Of course. Apa yang benda keras tu?
Apa benda keras?
I mean if I see semua tu, pasal Melayu I forgot the name of it, tapi macam ketumbar.
Are you sure?
Bukan ketumbar. Alah, yang benda tu yang keras tu, yang macam kalau kita gigit dia macam but I know which cause.
Okay, nanti tengok balik 4 sekawan apa.
So sekarang tengah interview ni macam like apa, pressure juga macam.
Kan? So itulah the first orang kata apa, informal apa orang kata, lesson from my parents. Both of my parents pun chef juga. So actually banyak belajar daripada diorang lah.
Was there any pressure tak, since like your parents are both chefs, untuk for you to masa jadi chef, do you feel the pressure juga tak?
Sangat. Like macam first time I mengajar kan, I masuk film mengajar, nanti dia akan question I banyak gila. Macam mana kau ajar student kau ni? Betul ke kau ajar macam ni? Macam first time I take over commercial class kan, kau kena tahu student kau ni kena tahu basic macam ni. Banyak gila pressure, serius. Macam in terms of my plating, kadang-kadang I tunjuk my parents semua kan. Mana dah ada orang buat plating macam ni sekarang? Sekarang ni dah modern aja. Macam tu lah.
It's frightening kat lah sebenarnya.
Ya, betul. But itulah kan, semua benda ni dia macam mengajar. It teach me how to, being a better teacher kan.
Tapi itulah, even for me pun on my end, I think sometimes when I cook for my parents semua tu, my dad is always supportive, so he's always give a thumbs up. My mom would be critical, but my grandma would be yang seorang tu yang paling macam dia punya anxiety tu nak tunggu jawapan dia is very frightening. Sebab in my family pula, my grandma was the one who started off with going into the F&B world.
Okay.
And then from her, she learned from my great grandmother, and then then my mom passed it on, and then back to me. And then I think macam like the pressure is there because I guess when your customers know your family dah, dia macam as pressure because like macam they set the bar already, and could you go up to that par ke, atau you go below par. So yang tu frightening sebab macam like kata ni anak tu kan. So
I faham. Mana-mana yang pergi kan, macam orang tahu macam nama siapa, dia dengar nama belakang tu kan. Oh, ni anak Chef Jasni. Oh no. Oh no. Macam mana boleh tahu ni?
That's the hard part about being orang Melayu lah. You have to give bin dah binti.
Ya, betul. So orang macam, oh, bapak kau pandai ni, kau pandai tak ni? Macam, boleh lah. Boleh lah. Tu je lah kan. Dapat buat, belakang cerita.
But right now macam like for the food kat Malaysia kan, let's say macam like let's say macam sekarang ni we're talking about hidden gems in Malaysia kan. So in Malaysia, I think kalau I think macam kat New York, when you ask people which one's the best pizza,
Okay.
everyone will have their say. Orang akan kata ni, and the same goes kalau you pergi kat Penang.
Okay.
Tanya yang nasi kandar mana satu yang paling sedap. And if you ask any orang Penang, they'll always give you a different answer. I tak pernah jumpa orang yang have the two similar answer. Tak ada seorang pun. And it's always some random nama orang
Okay.
that I don't know of. So, but the question is sekarang ni kan, the ones who are underneath kan, how would you think we would expose them? Macam bagi dia orang more features. Because I really think that in this world, there's never the best one tau. Because there's always going to be someone lagi better than you. So, in my point of view kan, macam like, the ones who are yang tak recognize, my fear is, let's say kalau diorang nak try to try to mark up diorang punya sales semua tu, they'll try to change dia punya makanan to become like more modernized semua tu kan. Do you think that will be one of the key factor why these things happen?
Change their food.
Okay, contoh lah. I'll give you contoh. So say for example kan, there dua kedai kat sini, okay, dua kedai from left to right, jual nasi lemak. Tapi this one laku and this one tak sangat. And tiba-tiba diorang try to see what's trendy semua tu, and then they try to adapt it and then make a sort of like a fusion of nasi lemak. Okay, contoh lah, and chef kata, apa nasi lemak dengan cheese ke?
Nasi lemak lobster.
Lobster kan. What if that was the case? Macam they want to naikkan nama by introducing a fusion. And I think this is just me tadi while we were interviewing. I was thinking about, what if that was the reason why these things came to being. Faham tak?
First, you kena tahu yang sedap ni dia very subjective tau. Sedap I dengan sedap you lain. Betul tak?
Betul.
Macam I suka sambal my nasi lemak punya sambal manis. Macam you suka mungkin masin sikit.
Pedas.
Pedas lah. Okay, I prefer manis lah. Okay. So, macam mana dia nak bagi I lah kan, macam mana dia nak mantapkan lagi dia punya, you know,
sambal tu?
Bukan sambal lah kan, makanan dekat kedai dia tu kan. Rasa. Daripada segi rasa. Apa pun masak pun rasa, betul tak?
Betul. Setuju.
Mungkin kenapa orang suka pergi dekat kedai tu, sebab
rasa dia sedap.
Rasa dia sedap. So, you kena ubah lah benda tu. Tak semestinya you nak kena ubah, I nak letak lobster dekat I punya ni, letak sotong korita lah. Macam-macam benda kau nak letak dekat nasi lemak kau, nak tarik orang. Tak. Kau letaklah kuda pun dekat atas nasi lemak kau tu. Kalau tak sedap, tak sedap. So, first rasa. Kedua, bersih.
But what about these days where macam like sekarang ni kan everyone nak pergi for OOTD, outfit of the day. They always tend to go to some restaurants yang makanan dia macam tak adalah kata sedap sangat. Macam like biasa-biasa je. And then, but then diorang sort of like gain a lot because of the atmosphere. So here's the thing, in Malaysia, does atmosphere matter juga tak dalam tu? Does it?
Betul. Betul. Saya cakap tadi, first rasa kena ada lah. Masak sedap, and then macam kita nak tarik orang datang kat kedai kita, bukan just for OOTD. Bila orang dah bosan nak kat tempat tu,
dia will go down lah.
Dia pergi tempat lain. So apa pun kita nak tarik orang dengan kita punya makanan, food. Kita nak orang duduk suka dekat kedai kita tu. Makanan lah. Kita punya rasa kena mantap, kan? Bersih. Then you punya ambience ikutlah trend sekarang.
Yes.
Kan? Benda-benda macam tu lah.
Also, speaking of that kan, sorry to cut you off, tapi macam, okay, in the world of music, there's always this thing called the pitch perfects. Okay. Now, for the food industry, it's always about having the good palates, tasting palates. For some of us, maybe kita orang ada better palates than others lah. But in your experience kan, is there a way to train palates untuk rasa? Sebab macam Chef pun kata kan, rasa sedap ke tak is always subjective kan. But there's always this person yang boleh rasa, and generally a lot of people would be like, yes, I setuju. Is there a way for them to train your palates to be macam more like macam dia kata, tak tahu nak kata efficient ke tak, tapi macam like, you know, like when dia rasa tu dia kata sedap, but in reality orang makan pun rasa sedap. Sebab some people dia orang rasa, oh semua sedap. But when you rasa balik macam ada yang kurang. So can you train your palates?
Boleh. Boleh. Serius. Macam I dulu first masak kan, I kuat masin tau. I tak tahu sebab muka I Jawa kot, kuat masin.
Sama lah kita orang.
Okay, I kuat masin.
Masin sedap.
Lepas tu bila kita dah masakkan untuk orang, kita punya guest dia tak ada yang tak kuat masin. Bagi I benda tu masin dah okey, tapi bagi diorang tu dah masin sangat. Jadi kena practice. Macam mana kita nak balancekan kita punya masin, kita punya palate kita rasa macam mana dengan orang, permintaan orang tu. Okay, remember when kita ada commercial class?
Yes.
Kan? I pernah cakap dekat my student, biar kurang masin. So apa kurang masin? Kat atas meja ada salt and pepper. So kalau kata kurang masin, dia tambah lah. Then I don't understand why diorang komen kurang masin.
Well, it's already there.
Kau dah ada salt and pepper atas tu, kau tambah lah kan. Kau ni kan, benda-benda macam ni kita kena educate orang sebenarnya. Kalau ada salt and pepper, tambah je kat situ. Okay, okay. Sambung balik pasal tadi how to train our palates kan.
Yes.
Okay, dulu saya pernah buat ni. I pernah buat sensory test.
Okay.
Sensory test. Okay, during my degree lah kan, kita orang buat sensory test. Kita nak rasa. Okay, dia ada letak like garam, lepas tu ada apa lagi? Spices, ada chili powder, herb semua kan. Kat situ sebenarnya dia adalah dia punya objektif kenapa dia buat sensory test tu, to train your palate. Macam mana kalau kita masak kalau kita masak tutup mata, boleh tak kita agak berapa banyak garam kita letak?
Wow.
Yes.
Macam mana nak trace
berapa banyak garam kita letak dan rasa dia perfect. Sensory test. Okay, dia boleh train you punya palate, dia boleh sensory
bau
kan.
dengan
Bau dia lagi daripada sekali bau, okay aku tahu herbs dah cukup. Tak payah tambah dah. Kalau tambah dia lagi.
But that's a unique skill jugalah. I think for most people from in my batch macam diploma semua tu, I think we have a lot more to learn from there.
Yes, betul. Satu je, bila kita belajar ni, bila kita habis belajar, ilmu tu dia tak stop dekat situ je.
It just still proceeds.
Yes, ongoing. Dia sentiasa sentiasa berjalan lah kan. Sentiasa you kena terus mencari ilmu tu. Okay, because this is culinary arts.
Now, even in I think kalau orang tengok cerita Hell's Kitchen pun, so all the contestants semua tu, they are not newbies. Dia orang memang dah berpengalaman.
Ada experience, yes.
Ada yang head chef, ada executive, ada yang sous semua tu kan. And when we look at them, boleh tengok macam like, tak kisahlah you pengalaman macam mana pun, akan kena juga.
Betul. Betul. Sebab apa? I punya cara dengan you punya cara lain. Cara I dengan you punya cara lain kan. So samalah juga si Gordon tu cara dia lain. Mungkin the contestant tu lain cara dia orang. So tak kena dengan cara dia. Tu that's why kerja dekat kitchen kena pay attention.
Ya, betul.
Betul kan? You dah rasa semua macam mana, pay attention. Apa chef you nak, you bagi. Kalau dia kata tak sedap, buat balik, jangan argue. Saya rasa sedap. Turunkan ego. Kita kalau nak belajar, kita kena turun ego. Kalau kita nak belajar, kita kena turun ego. Kita tak boleh sombong. Benda situ you kena ni.
Even in the situation where macam kadang-kadang the chef buat, let's say lah macam benda yang orang question lah, kenapa ni? Even tu pun tak boleh. Just like, teruskan je lah.
No, dia kita kena ada ni lah, justification
logic
behind. Kenapa tak boleh benda ni? So kita akan explain lah. Okay, tak boleh buat macam ni sebab mungkin so ada
Tapi in your view sekarang kan, how do you see perkembangan in terms of Malaysian punya food in our country, like with the next 5 years kan, what are you expecting to see?
The next 5 years
5 years, so I'll be 30 by then. To share.
My expectation is I nak orang lagi kenal. I tak nak pergi jauh lah, tak nak pergi tak nak cakap tentang luar. I nak dalam Malaysia sendiri, apapun kita nak ubah sesuatu, kita kena kita sendiri.
Saya baca dia.
Kita di mana tempat kita duduk, di mana kita berdiri, kita kena ubah dekat situ dulu. Okay. So I nak yang kita sendiri, Malaysian sendiri, kita boleh preserve kita punya culinary. Okay, kita boleh maksudnya kita dah boleh dah didik kita punya younger generation. Okay, ini makanan dulu nenek moyang kau buat ni. Nenek moyang kau buat cara macam ni. Jadi ikutlah cara macam ni. Kalau kata dia guna 2 cawan untuk dapatkan resepi yang betul, okay, untuk dapat rasa yang mantap. Kalau kata dia guna 2 cawan gula, gunalah 2 cawan gula. Kau janganlah. Kau janganlah healthy life, tak nak guna 1 sudu je. Dia dah lain dah. So nak menjaga, nak mengekalkan, orang kata apa,
dia punya
heritage tu kita sendiri. Okay, so itulah, apa-apa pun diri kita kena tengok dulu kita punya bangsa kita, then baru kita boleh nak ubah.
In a way macam you have to know the history of it.
Betul.
I guess that could be one piece of advice that we can give to aspiring chefs in the future jugalah. And if they're listening semua ni, we will give you credit lah for like no, because now preserve, like you said, macam nak preserve a big piece of history is not an easy thing to do lah kan.
Yes.
And as time goes by, we cannot deny that globalization is going to happen to us one way or the other. Tapi kalau kita boleh like still continue on what we do, as for now, I think I would like to pass down everything I learned from you, Chef, and also from my grandparents pasal apa kuih Melayu tu, and pass it down to the next generation, to the following generation semua tu, and so far I think this topic for today has been macam, for me like, it's eye-opening jugalah, because like macam like when you go in depth, it's you start to see macam like how much missing pieces there are.
Betul. Yes, there's dia punya isu tu very complicated, sebab dia berkait rapat dengan sekeliling kita kan. Saya cakap, kalau kita nak ubah sesuatu tu, kita kena ubah
diri sendiri.
Apa yang kita ada sekarang ni dulu, dan only kita boleh ubah sekeliling kita. Sama juga dengan makanan Melayu. First kena cari dulu apa masalah dia dekat makanan Melayu ni, which is kita kena cari identiti dia lah. Kena cari identiti, dan only baru kita boleh kekalkan benda tu as makanan Melayu.
And it's also still eye-opening for me to learn yang even makanan macam nasi lemak pun is not really can be considered as authentically Melayu punya makanan.
So boleh bagi satu tak macam authentic food yang your family still buat lagi sekarang, yang memang dia daripada dia punya
kalau kata
nenek moyang dulu kan,
laksa Terengganu, atau macam ada macam kuah lemak warna purple tapi dia macam masak sotong.
Kuah lemak warna purple? Okay, that's new for me.
It's like something, it's a recipe from my great grandmother lah.
Okay.
Lepas tu dia pass it down to my grandma. Nanti kalau ada nanti, if we met again, Chef, nanti akan give you rasa. Tapi dia,
that's unique.
It's sedap lah. Dia punya kuah itself tu is, I think is the main show lah. Macam tu lah dia punya rasa tu.
So you kena belajar benda tu so that
I can pass it down.
Yes, bukan pass it down je. I think maybe you boleh jual benda tu like kuah lemak purple. Orang tak,
I mean, if I'm mistaken, dia nampak macam kuah lemak lah to my eyes lah. Sebab dia punya texture semua tu nampak macam sama. Tapi it's purple in colour. Tapi if I got the right name for it, nanti maybe I'll show you lah.
Alright.
Mungkin you macam, alah ini je. Kan.
Kita belajar lah kan.
I think macam kuah asam semua tu, I can say that macam that's a bit more like our take. Sebab macam kadang if you go to kedai makanan Melayu kan, there's always the similar menu.
Betul.
That you see kan, macam like contoh bayam masak apa? Bukan bayam apa? Dia macam spinach tu apa?
Spinach, okay, bayam.
Bayam masak apa? Cili padi apa?
Selalu I tengok dekat kedai nasi campur tu bayam masak ni je, kuah biasa tu.
Itulah.
Itu kita orang Jawa panggil bening. Bening. And anything yang masak plain, sayur yang masak plain kita panggil bening.
Bening is a word for plain lah.
Plain, yes.
Nasi bening.
Dia tak nasi bening. Dia macam makan lauk apa ni, sayur bening. Kita dah tahu dah tu bening tu macam mana rupa dia. But
then like you said lah, macam I think every food pun has its own influence daripada like our ancestors from the Indonesia semua tu. So cuma I think that one time lah when all of us are unite pasal yang ayam crispy tu yang dekat kita. Which I don't really okay, talking about that kan, what does he mean by crispy waktu dekat show tu, based on your understanding lah?
Dia the judge kan, dia cakap ayam tu sepatutnya crispy. Rendang should be crispy. So macam yelah chef yang masak tu macam kenapa crispy? You faham tak?
Tapi maksud dia memang tanya pasal kenapa dia tak goreng ke macam mana?
Dia kata kenapa tak crispy. Benda tu kan macam you boleh bayangkan kan rendang macam mana, dia macam
lembut
kan, dia basah-basah macam tu kan. Mungkin dia membayangkan ayam tu digoreng and rendang tu adalah dia punya sauce dia.
Rasa pelik juga if you think about it betul-betul lah macam
mungkin, tapi kita rasa pelik.
Mungkin for them is biasa.
Tapi macam bagi macam it's like a new idea tau. Macam chicken roulade with rendang sauce kan.
Macam like
Tapi before masuk competition, I buat chicken roulade with green curry. Semua orang macam tak pernah makan pun, tak pernah makan. Macam benda baru kan. Bukanlah benda baru, macam benda tu kita.
But I think for me pun green curry is one of the best invention from the Thai people tau. They all influence it and it's so sedap. Colour,
creamy kan.
Even tom yum, I think that's one of the things I'm jealous jugalah. Dia pandai preserve sangat sampai tom yum tu.
Bila kita cakap tom yum, kita dah tahu dah dari mana? Thailand. Bila kita cakap okay, kita buat nasi lemak lah kan, nasi lemak kan. Apa benda makanan yang melambangkan Malaysia?
Nasi lemak lah, I think for now.
Nasi lemak je, kan? Betul tak?
Nasi
lemak roti canai. Nasi lemak roti canai itu je. So kita kena cari lagi apa benda, apa makanan yang melambangkan it's truly Malaysian. Malaysian food.
Macam Japanese ada banyak macam like katsudon atau apa like sushi semua tu kan. So but like I said, I think it's also up to the kerajaan dekat Malaysia jugalah to sort of like get us used to the culture sampai macam going back to the roots, just like most countries macam Korea atau tu, even though diorang dah heading to the modernized world kan, but for some reason you can still trace the roots back from where they come from. And I think if they can change that in this country, I think our sort of not only our resources but our history will be very rich lah. Yeah. And also, do you have any other aspiring words to give to the camera, to our listeners out there yang macam nak jadi a future chef in Malaysia lah? Yeah.
Okay. First, you kena tahulah apa yang you nak buat. Okay? Because being a chef bukan tahu masak je. You kena tahu history of the food. Okay, and then chemistry, kan? Betul tak?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of science things going on to it.
Cooking is science, right?
It is.
Okay, jadi being a chef bukan pasal masak je, you kena tahu a lot of things. So, jangan stop belajar. Jangan berhenti mencari knowledge.
Yes.
That's what I've been telling you guys, right? Jangan berhenti.
Every time we met, it's the same thing.
Betul. Okay.
And again, thank you Chef Fadza for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, but thank you so much for sharing a vast history jugalah. It's sort of like, I think for our listeners yang tengah ni, it's a bit eye-opening jugalah to hear from your perspective kan on the take of not just Malaysian food, tapi also like we went in depth with the Malay food and our heritage and history semua tu. And I think for anyone who's listening, especially for those food lovers out there, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And this is Chef Fadza, and this is Mirdza Faiz from the Za TV show, signing off.
Woo, thank you.